My name is Garret Nydam. I work in the Central Valley, primarily with trees, almonds, peaches, nectarines, walnuts. I grew up on an almond ranch. My father farmed 20 acres of almonds, and I went to college at the Modesto Junior College and got my BS degree at Fresno State in 1982. I've been involved in agriculture my whole life and worked as a PCA for the last 30 years, primarily in the Modesto, Hughson, Denair area. I find that in agriculture, not just one thing is the answer. Just going with a straight pesticide program is not always the best way to go. IPM is not always solely the best way to go. Generally, it's a combination of the two together. I've had some really good successes with what would be considered strictly IPM programs. Probably the area that I would consider my greatest use of IPM is in peaches, using the mating pheromone disruption technique. We began that probably 15 years ago or so. Had some pretty good success with it in the beginning, and just as in all farming, as you change cultural practices, things that you hadn't thought of previously come to the forefront or become, instead of a minor pest becomes a major pest. And we started finding that we were using mating disruption to control the ornamental fruit moth, and as a few years went by, we started seeing some damage from the peach twig borer and from the omnivorous leaf roller. Kind of reached a point where that damage was enough that the customer felt it was best to move away from that. We went back to traditional program. Then we had one year where we started seeing, or we had quite a bit of damage from the oriental fruit moth, and as we evaluated what had happened, we felt we had made some mistakes with the products that we were using, possibly a little bit of timing and so forth, having to do with adjusting pHs and so forth. So that next year we remedied those situations as we thought we should do. And through our trapping and through our inspections of the fields, we found that we still had tremendous populations of OFM. That first year that we had trouble, let's say that we made 3 applications of a pesticide within that season for OFM control. That next year, we saw that we were having trouble again, and we increased our pesticide applications. I think we made 5 in that full season, and still had an even greater navel orangeworm issue. So we realized that we had more things going on, or that we had a problem, and involved the university. It was identified, or we believed that we had resistance to pyrethroid chemistry. We were also advised that the resistance to the pyrethroid chemistry could very easily carry into organophosphate chemistry. So we again reached out to the mating disruption technology, and basically in 1 year turned that whole problem around. So, in my opinion, a tremendous success story. With IPM, it involves looking at what's happening in the field. You're looking at what's going on environmentally. You're looking at what new technologies out there in the marketplace. One of the struggles that I find as a PCA is that when you approach a customer on certain IPM programs, their livelihood is tied up in that crop, and when you talk to them about another avenue or route to go, if that fails and they have an issue with a pest, such as the OFM in the example I gave, that can be a huge monetary issue for them. it also is a huge monetary issue for me and my company. You know, we want to avoid that, and it's often difficult to move into an area that you yourself are not quite sure about whether this technology will work. And as in the case I mentioned with OFM, we were almost forced back into it, and you know, very thankful that it worked out extremely well, and just sometimes shows you that you can try some of these things. Usually we try them at a smaller scale. Like I said, we had done it previously with them, and it worked to a pretty, you know, we were fairly successful, but then started seeing some issues that we hadn't considered previously, and then felt that those issues were great enough that we went back to our conventional program. You know, it all comes down to economics, and also comes down to the quality and the value of the crop that you're dealing with, and going back to protect that crop. And if you can get away from using a pesticide, by all means, that's your best choice. You know, many of the products that we use, if there's a way to steward them through IPM, you can extend the life of a product, and to have, you know, to constantly expect that the manufacturers are going to come up with new chemistry is foolish. That's a difficult thing cost-wise for them, and also identify new chemistries. We live or are in an agricultural age right now where we have been fortunate in that just a tremendous amount of new chemistries and tremendous amount of new tools to work with. And even some of those, you know, they might not completely be considered IPM, but you know, even products like Altacor and Belt, which you know, are not, you know, they affect the way that insect grows. It's not, you know, a toxin per se, but a product that destroys the chitin or the structure of that insect as it goes through its instars. So you know, they are considered pesticides, but in a way they are also IPM even in of themselves.